This year, the Academy Board of Governors has voted to award an honorary Oscar to the great Indian filmmaker Satyajit Ray.
Satyajit Ray was born to a distinguished family of artists on 2nd May 1921. His grandfather, Upendra Kishore Roy Chaudhary, and his father, Sukumar Ray, were famous cultural activists and pioneers of different fields. From being a philosopher, illustrator, and even an amateur astronomer to being a writer of nonsense verses, his lineage had many talents. Satyajit Ray was a master of many trades, a filmmaker, illustrator, music composer, author, lyricist, and a playwright. His childhood started in the alleys of North Calcutta in his ancestral home at 100A Gorpal Road. However, after the untimely demise of Sukumar Ray at a young age of 31, they had to shift from this address to their new abode in Bhawanipur. After completing schooling at Baliganj Government High School, he went to Presidency College to pursue higher studies in economics. Later, he went to Shantiniketan to study art at Vishwabharati, where he took interest in Nandalal Bose's Oriental artworks. A young artist in a big city, he joined the British advertising agency D.J. Khemer, where he found a mentor in Annoda Munshi, another artist with a modern approach. During this time at Signet Press, he started working on children's rendition of the timeless classic by Bibhoti Bhushan, Aam Atir Bhepo, later recreated as Pother Pachali. A marriage invitation card from his friend Horishadhan Dasgupta came as an invitation to meet the French director Jean Renoir, whom Horishadhan was assisting at that time. Ray recollects that it was Jean Renoir who instilled an urge to be a filmmaker within him. In 1950, Ray was sent to work in D.J. Khemer's head office in London for a period of 6 months. During this time, Ray was introduced to neo-realist films like Bicycle Thieves. This was a turning point in Ray's life, as this film finally ignited the flames within him to become a filmmaker. After facing many hurdles, he finally released his first masterpiece, Pother Pachali, the first of the Opu trilogy in 1955.
পথের পাঁচালীটার মানে আমি যতদূর জানি যেটা উনি আরম্ভ করেছিলেন 52 সালে এবং সেটা নিজের বন্ধুদের কাছ থেকে টাকা ধার করে নিজের রেকর্ড বই বা বৌদির গয়না বন্ধক রেখে আরম্ভ করেছিলেন, কিন্তু সামাও সে সুবিধাটা করতে পারেননি পয়সার অভাবে। তো 54 সালে তারপর যখন মানে পশ্চিমবঙ্গ সরকার বিধান রায় তাকে সাহায্য করলেন টাকা দিয়ে, সেই সময় থেকে আমি জড়িত হলাম। তো এবং যে স্টুডিওতে আমি শিক্ষানবিশ হিসেবে ছিলাম, টেকনিশিয়ান স্টুডিওতে, সেই স্টুডিওর ক্যামেরাটা সত্যজিৎ রায় ভাড়া করেছিলেন। মিচেল ক্যামেরা, যে মিচেল ক্যামেরার পেছনে দেখছেন আপনারা, ওই মিচেল ক্যামেরাটা, ওই ক্যামেরাটা নিয়ে আমি যেতাম।
How long did it take to make the film?
Well, we had to plan it according to, because we needed sequences in cloudy days, in the rainy season. So we started to shoot the film during the monsoon, which is June to September in India, or at least in Bengal, where the film was made. And then we also wanted the harvest, so that's October, November. So we carried on for a little longer. There was a period when there was no shooting done, but I was cutting the film at that point. So roughly, I would say about a 5-month period, starting around July, ending in November, December. and 45, 50 days of shooting spread over this period. We had to go back to the village, which had changed by then, you know. During the rain, it's all slush and mud, and then at the time after the rains, in autumn, or fall as you call it here, it's the paddies are out and they begin to ripen towards winter. So you had these various sort of, well, let's say color schemes in the film. And also, it had to be authentic in terms of the actual time when the famine took place. This was the time when it took place.
Ray kept delivering many other visual masterpieces like Porosh Pathor, Tin Konna, Obhijan, Devi, Kapurush Mahapurush, Jalshaghar and many more. He delivered two notable film series like the Opu trilogy and the Calcutta trilogy. He also made films for children like the Gopi Bagha series and the famous detective series Feluda. Opur Shongshar and Charulata were the only two films where the filmmaker fiercely defended his work when harshly analyzed by Bengali critics. In 1962, Ray directed Kanchanjunga, which was his first film in color. This was the time the genius's works were taking him to film festivals across the globe, during which he met many other internationally acclaimed stalwarts like Akira Kurosawa, Marlon Brando, Roman Polanski, Ingmar Bergman, and Michelangelo Antonioni, so on and so forth.
Now, before you came on the scene, in the Indian cinema certainly, there never used to be what one might call an ambient sound, you know, and effects outside of the synchronized effects. Now, you started it. Now, why did you do that? I mean, what led you to use sound like that?
I think in the use of sound, we were not being very original. We were doing what the best of European cinema had done, which we admired very much. We didn't really learn from the Indian cinema. We learned, in fact, what not to do rather than what to do. So we had the examples of the best cinema of the West when we had in mind. And with Pather Panchali, as well as Aparajito, there was this question of filling long stretches of silence because both films had very little dialogue. Naturally, we had to think of what to do there, and all sorts of sound effects were used in order, basically, to fill those long stretches of silence, and also, at the same time, for them to work as sort of ambient sound.
But didn't you suddenly come upon the idea that this could also be used creatively? Because obviously after that...
Yes, but both things at the same time. Both things at the same time, I think. You have to have both in mind. Creatively in the sense that you add to the atmosphere, you also suggest things which are not suggested by the dialogue or by the images. Yes. So that's another dimension to the film.
You have also done a great deal in the use of music, because when you started there was a thematic score, and there also used to be a lot of incidental music, yes, which over a period of time you not used. I mean, incidental music particularly to underline, say, an emotional moment or a climactic moment or things like that. How have you, have you ever thought of the way you have evolved in the use of music itself?
Well, in the beginning, of course, I was not my own composer. I was using other composers like Ravi Shankar and Vilayat and Ali Akbar. I worked with them, but I always knew where the music would come, and this was, I had to tell the composers beforehand that these are the points where I needed music. And so that was done, and this, of course, led to some difficulties, because I was getting musical ideas of my own at that time, and it was difficult to dictate too much to professional. I mean, they were not professional film composers, they were virtuosos, really. But Ravi Shankar particularly was very gifted also in this direction, because he had done ballet scores and all that. And that's how we worked. And later, of course, I took over composing myself, because for one thing, most of the time they were not available. And for another, I felt that since I couldn't think of another composer to use, I didn't think there were very many good professional film composers. I started doing it myself.
Notable Bengali actors of the era he worked with included Soumitra Chatterjee, who went on to act in most of his films, rendering face to his character Feluda. Other actors included Sharmila Tagore, Ritiman, Ravi Ghosh, Tulsi Chakraborty and the mighty Uttam Kumar and others. Ray worked in sync with his art director Bonshi Chandragupta, who shared Ray's eye for details. The cinematography of Subrata Mitra lifted Ray's films and was seen missing post-Nayok, when Mitra left his team. Dulal Dotto was his regular film editor.
I once made a film called The Goddess, Devi. It dealt with religious dogmatism. It didn't attack religion as such. It attacked dogmatism, the extreme form of religion. But people were writing in the papers that, because Mr. Ray is not a Hindu, he was a Brahmo, he's making such films against Hinduism and all that. But they are stupid people, you can't take them into account. This happens in India all the time. And people don't, we have a fairly backward audience here, I must say, in spite of the film society movement and all that. If you consider the large audience, it's a backward audience, unsophisticated audience, exposed to the commercial Hindi cinema more than anything else. And so, you face this problem, but you make the kind of films, I make the kind of films that I want to make. I make the kind of films that I enjoy making, that engages my attention, my creativity. That's all I can do.
Charulata was interestingly Ray's personal favorite. Critics have referred to this as Ray's Mozartian masterpiece. Charulata won him the Best Director prize at the Berlin Film Festival. Renard's influence over Ray was also prevalent through Scene in Charulata, which was deeply influenced from a scene from Party D Campaign. Ray was always held in high regard by his contemporaries, like directors and fellow actors.
Contemporaneity doesn't depend on the period. Contemporaneity depends on the attitude. So attitude that was reflected in Aparajito was marvelous, was so modern, so modern. And Ray had made a number of other films on contemporary subjects, but I never considered those films to be as contemporary as Aparajito was. Am I clear? This is my feeling about this, because he made a number of films on the contemporary subjects, but I didn't find them to be enough contemporaneous, as much as I found in Aparajito. And I knew that the film will not do well at the box office because the people will not like this attitude, the relationship between the mother and the son. It was because of the fact, primarily because of the fact that Ray could give a bit of himself. It was somebody a journalist in a press conference asked me in Venice Film Festival, to what extent your films are autobiographical? I said none, physically none, but I breathe in every scene. And the same way I feel that I found this film, Aparajito, I found in it that it is not physically, but I found it is so close to his autobiography, close to himself. That was it.
Manikda, what I have experienced, that he's not only a theoretical director, he's, to my opinion, he's one of the best actor also. Because whatever he wants to take out from you, he will show you by acting. And in fact, what he shows, we do it or we just express it almost 50% of it. And in fact, Manikda shows everything to the actor and actresses by acting, by his way of acting, and that is, I think, one of the best way of acting in film.
What about a film like Gopiga in Bagabain, where you played the role of Baga, which is
Drama.
actually a fairy tale, almost of fairy tale of sorts.
Yes.
Can you talk a little about that film?
Well, Gopiga and Bagabain, it will remain throughout my life, so long I will be living. It's a legend in my life. Gopiga and Bagabain is the only film of Ray that is still one of the biggest hit in Bengali film, for commercial reasons and for the qualitative reasons, both. And in fact, first musical film in Bengal. In Bengali films you will find a lot of songs, but we don't call it a musical film, but it was a musical comedy children's film. And Gopiga and Bagabain, the way he told us, to me and Topen both, that Robi, this is absolutely fantasy. You just behave, you don't try to act. Especially I remember that ghost scene. In the actual shooting, we never saw that particular ghost scene, but the way he described to us, it was really something. You can expect it from a director like Satyajit Ray. And while describing, we could see the ghosts are coming in front of us, and you saw the acting, and we did our acting like that.
আবার ওটাকে নিয়ে পড়েছো?
আপনি বললেন না মানে? হ্যাঁ, আচ্ছা বলো। বিচিত্র জীব এই সাপ, একটু কাছে নিতে হবে এইখানে আমাকে। সাপকে জোড়া চলে না। আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, ফাইন, ঠিক আছে, ফাইন।
সমস্ত বক্তারাই পথের পাঁচালীর সুখ্যাতি করতে গিয়ে, ছবির সুখ্যাতি করতে গিয়ে বলছিলেন অধিকাংশ সময় যে এই ছবি বক্স অফিসকে অস্বীকার করে, বক্স অফিসের পরোয়া না করে হয়েছে। যখন সত্যজিৎ রায়ের তার উত্তর দেবার সময় এলো, তখন উনি বললেন যে এখানে অনেকেই বলেছেন যে বক্স অফিসকে অগ্রাহ্য করে আমি ছবি করেছি, সে কথাটা সত্য নয়। কারণ কোনো চিত্র নির্মাতাই চায় না যে সে এমন একটা ছবি করুক যেটা দর্শক দেখবে না। সে সবসময় চায় যে তার ছবির বক্স অফিস হোক, বক্স অফিস সাকসেস হোক। সেই জন্য আমিও সেই রকম ছবি করতে চেয়েছি। তবে এইটুকুন বলতে পারি যে বক্স অফিস সম্বন্ধে যে প্রচলিত ধারণাগুলো আছে, আমার ধারণাটা তার থেকে তফাৎ ছিল।
Satyajit Ray suffered a heart attack in the early 1980s. In the year 1984, he made Ghore Baire, based on Tagore's novel. This was, in fact, the first film he ever wanted to make, years before he started working on Pother Pachali. It received some critical acclaim for featuring the first full-fledged kiss in Ray's film. In 1987, he made a documentary on his father, Shukumar Ray, which was released on his birth centenary year. The master's last three films were Gonoshotru, Shakha Poshakha and Aguntuk, for which he won the Best Film and Best Director award in 1991. His films and characters now had more rhetoric and polemic than the subtlety of his earlier films. His ill health restricted his movement and compelled him to shoot indoors or in a studio.
Well, it's an extraordinary experience for me to be here tonight to receive this magnificent award, certainly the best achievement of my movie-making career. As a small schoolboy, I was terribly interested in the cinema, became a film fan, wrote to Deanna Derwin, got a reply, was delighted, wrote to Ginger Rogers, didn't get a reply. Then, of course, I got interested in the cinema as an art form, and I wrote a 12-page letter to Billy Wilder after seeing Double Indemnity. he didn't reply either. Well, there you are. But I have learned everything I've learned about the craft of cinema from the making of American films. I've been watching American films very carefully over the years, and I love them for what they entertained, and then later loved them for what they taught. So I express my gratitude to the American cinema, to the Motion Picture Association, who given me this award and who made me so proud. Thank you very, very much.
On 23rd April, 10 days prior to his 71st birthday,
মহারাজা তোমারে সেলাম 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 সেলাম